What is going on, everybody? It's been a little bit since I did my last car update video. I'll put a tag up here of that one. We ended up rerouting our exhaust off of the turbo out here and then down the side. So what we're going to do today is kind of finish up the brackets to hold that, finish weld everything. So yeah, I'm going to kind of show you my thought process about where and how I'm going to mount it. And yeah, just kind of keep rolling the exhaust, get that knocked out, and maybe turn the car on with no exhaust on it, see how it sounds with open turbos. It might be kind of cool. So yeah, let's kind of get to that and just cross this project off the list. Alright, so first one we're going to do, it should be pretty easy. We're probably just going to nutsert a hole right here, run straight down, weld it to it, and we'll be good. Now, keep in mind, because we have this flex joint right here, from the flex joint back can be solidly mounted to the car. So, yeah, it's, we don't need any rubber isolators or movable hangers or anything like that. The mid mount, since this is solidly mounted to the car, we're going to weld right to the bottom of this tube from our jacking lug, go down and actually kind of wrap underneath a little bit. Reason we're going to do that is because this pipe's kind of thin, I guess, and if you kind of go around, it's almost holding it like a cradle, if you will, rather than just going and welding to it. All that weight will be just on the weld in a tension tension force, where if you go down and kind of cradle it, that weld is under a compression force. So doing it that way, just be a lot less chance of exhaust hanging off. If you've gone to the track long enough, maybe happened to you, or you've seen it happen, exhaust falling off of race cars, or just hanging out of where they should be, is actually kind of common almost. So and then the rear one, probably similar to the front. I'm going to nutsert a mount or something right around here, come down to this, and kind of go around underneath to cradle it. I'm going to be using this 1-inch flat stock, and I'm going to be putting it, I'm going to try and put it in line with the Airstream rather than like a rod. Might just be a little less draggy. We're talking minuscule amounts, but I have the flat stock. There is arguably a slight advantage to it, so that's what we're going to use. So we're going to take some measurements and kind of get our pieces cut and just keep rolling. Alright, so we're going to work on the rear ones real quick, where the the strap needs to almost go under it a little bit. I'm going to show you how we're going to kind of bend it to fit the contour of the pipe that we're going to be using. Pretty quick, pretty simple. Don't need any special tools to do this, so yeah, I'll show you how. Alright, so all you really need is a vise with a little bit of a gap, and all we're going to do is just kind of crank this to get a little bit of a bend onto it. And then just go down a little bit more, and just kind of keep working it. Looks about good. We don't really want quite a 90. So there you go. You can see it's pretty, I don't know how well that's going to show up on camera. You can see it's pretty close to our net shape. We'll just bend over this corner a little bit more and we're good to go. There you go, pretty much right about what we need. Hopefully that'll work out good. Alright guys, so I got all the pieces cut and I'll show you what we got. So this is the front one. Really nothing special going on here. It's just going to go right here to here. The reason I'm not drilling a hole in it right now is if I drill a hole in this and then drill a hole in the chassis and nutsert it and all that stuff, it might move a little bit on me, so I'm actually going to weld it to the exhaust. then drill a hole through both of them at the same time, and when the exhaust is off, to finish weld everything, put the nut-cert in it. So that takes care of the front. The side is the only sort of complicated one. So we're going to use this little bracket and kind of go right about here, while the second half of it will come from this hole down and underneath. It might make a little bit more sense, but this one, since the exhaust needs to come off, this is the only one where the bracket won't be able to bolt to something. So we got the pieces done for that. The other half of it is this little guy right here. And then this is the rear, which again, we're gonna go ahead and weld it to the exhaust. Oops. And kind of bend it, do whatever we have to do to get it sort of flush to the chassis here. And we're going to double bolt it because this is pretty thin sheet metal. There is a pinch weld, a pinch seam. You can kind of see the spot welds. So I'm going to try and make it to that because that'll be thicker metal to tie into. But that's about it. So just these 3 brackets, 1 and 3 on the other side is you know, not a huge project, pretty easy to do. I'm not going to do too much B-roll right now just because I'm just welding a few things. And then once I get them welded on, kind of show you what I got, and it'll all kind of click and make sense. Alright guys, I'm going to stop time lapse real quick to show you what I got on this one. So this bent one that we did fits pretty nicely, but I over bent it so you can see the hole is right there, and it might be a little hard to see, but we're kind of, can't quite get it, almost like maxed out. So I almost need to like unbend this a little bit. So I'm just going to put it on the ground, grab the hammer, now I'm doing this one-handed, but straightening out that tiny bit. We still have a good amount underneath, but you can see where the hole is now. You know, we got plenty of room, so we're good there. Now marking that hole, we're going to use the trick that I used on when I did my AIM carbon fiber dash video with a pick tool right here. I'm just going to hold this exactly where I want it. One other quick note is you can see I welded this on an angle to basically just line up perfectly with this. Alright, fits really good right there, so we're going to use our pick tool behind it. And scribe out the circle. So I'm not sure if you can kind of see it. Yeah, that shows up good enough. So that's exactly where we need to drill our hole. So this is the only bracket. This is the only bracket that we're going to drill a hole into first. The rest of them will be, you know, drill a hole into once everything is kind of on, and then when everything's off to finish weld it, kind of finish up those. Alright, so I'll show you what we did real quick. Kind of went over it a minute ago, but that one's welded on. This little 2-part one, I had it clamped when I welded it with a bolt through it just to kind of hold it in position. I'll finish weld it off the car, but you can kind of see how this one works easily enough. And then the rear mount, kind of tack welded in place pretty good. And then once I finalize everything, I'll just kind of drill it and attach it to the chassis. So yeah, I think at this point I'm going to pull everything off and finish weld it. And while everything's off, I'm going to turn the car on just to kind of see what it sounds like with no exhaust and the turbos. Might be cool, so let's do that. Alright, so we just got the downpipes on and the oxygen sensors hooked up, so let's give it a start and see what this thing sounds like. Alright, well I haven't started it in so long that I guess I gotta jump it. Alright, well that was kind of, I don't know, it sounded kind of cool but kind of weird at the same time. So, but yeah, anyway, so now we're ready to put the rest of the exhaust on. Yeah, bolt that up on both sides, shouldn't be too long. And yeah, the exhaust project minus the tips where it's going to blow under the diffuser is done. Alright, so we got the exhaust on, pretty quick and easy. We're going to start it up again, see how it sounds. Alright, so I had to step out of the garage for a second. My eyes are like watering. But yeah, with this little piece of paper, you can see when the exhaust hits it, it's hanging, and then it kind of blows it, and you can kind of see it start to attach to the diffuser. And that was only at like 2,500 RPM. You add in the mass flow of, you know, a lot more RPM, plus the mass flow of just, you know, the car moving through the air, you can kind of see how the exhaust will just add to that velocity under the diffuser, giving me much more downforce. So it seems like it should work good. Obviously gonna have to test it on track, see how it feels, but you know, otherwise happy so far. I gotta let the garage air out so my eyes don't start watering on me. Alright everybody, so I think that's about it for this video. If you watched our previous video, you know that the reason we're routing the exhaust like we are, be it very unconventional type of routing, we'll say, the reason we're doing that is to make room for a flat floor, make a flat floor easier, much less concerns about heat. It'll free us up to do a few neat things on the flat floor. So that's kind of why we did the exhaust like this. So doing these tabs and everything kind of, you know, wraps up the exhaust project. So if you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, so that way you can keep up to date with you know, flat floor, everything else we're doing with this. So as always guys, thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you guys in the next one.